Morgan once. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen Morgan. Oh, she doesn't do that. And I'm like, dude, I've never seen you like 3 years. It's unfucking.
I'm not being a distraction. You're literally being a distraction. I'm not being a distraction.
What's that?
Oh yeah. Go, go, go! Okay. Woo! Okay. Sorry, I didn't. Okay. So, out of all the species of jawless fish that have ever existed, can you shut up, please? There are only 2 that exist right now. This is mostly due to predation, and mostly due to predation and everything.
Real.
They're the most like primitive fish that exists today, just because like these jawless fish sort of predated all the other species of fish that and like the jawed vertebrate fish that exist. Basically, these guys feed by the lampreys feed by like just latching onto the prey and then sucking their blood and stuff. But some of them also eat things like crustaceans and worms. Yeah, there are no stomach, so it's just kind of like a this really long tube where the food just passes through, and then they just have all of them have like these long cylindrical bodies that sort of allows them to be aerodynamic or water dynamic, and they are eel-like in the fact that they only have like these dorsal fins and stuff, and they have no bones. So any of their skeletons just made out of like cartilage. So that's how you could give them cauliflower skeleton.
I'll do that.
And
Like your cauliflower
Ear.
yeah, like my cauliflower ear. But I
You're
think
very prevalent. I can see from here.
crazy.
I think hagfish also hagfish do have skulls, but that's the only part of them that are made out of bone. Everything else is no bone.
But you have no bone.
Yeah. Okay, so general hagfish overview. These guys only live in marine environments, and they're typically bottom dwellers and just like live in the dirt and stuff. These lack paired fins and only have a slight tail fin, and they are blind, and but they still have like eye spots from when they did have eyes, because they did have eyes, but then they devolved them because they didn't need them, because they just live at the bottom of like the water and stuff, so they don't need to see, and so they just like they live, yeah,
Or did they evolve?
their diet is they mostly just like scavenge, and they eat crustaceans and worms and stuff like that. And the most notable feature is that they produce this like type of slime that's like that they secrete from their body. And like there's basically just secrete this like pre-slime stuff that reacts with water that then turns into the slime, and they secrete it when they're like eating for defense and like to help them move through like the dirt and stuff. Like it just helps them like get through there. And then their eggs are fertilized externally, so it's similar to worms. The males just kind of like release their gametes into the water, and then the eggs meet with them and they're fertilized that way.
Is the slime fertilized, or is that?
No, slime is not fertilized. So yeah, this is a hagfish. This is his mouth, and this is like just this is.
It's awesome.
Wait, they can like eat like they just like
Can you-
stuff.
Why are they like?
Yeah.
Why
It's
are
not
they
like
like
a hole.
sausage?
They have teeth. They have teeth.
Is that like those things that are there?
No, those aren't teeth.
No, the one inside his mouth.
Those are the fingers.
That's just like dirt and like
Those are the
gravel and
fingers.
stuff. And then this is a picture of some guy holding one of the hagfish. You can see you can see the slime and stuff. Can you eat them? Some people do.
Huh.
Some people do eat them.
What cultures eat them?
This is their mouth. This is their teeth. They're very silly. And like here is where you can kind of see their teeth and like all their.
Why are his teeth out of it?
What?
Why are they out of it?
Why are they out of it? That's
Yeah.
just their mouth. That's their mouth is open.
Why?
They're like these guys.
Oh.
They're just silly. It's just a silly picture.
That is not so
Silly
out of
ass.
So do they have like a tongue with teeth?
Okay, so lampreys are the other type of jawless fish that exist today. These live in both marine and freshwater. And some, like most species, can be parasitic, which is where they attach their host fish and basically just suck the blood out of them. And then, which leave. Can you please calm yourself? You can observe with your mouth closed. They use their teeth, mouth, and piston tongue to like sort of rip away at the flesh of the host fish, and then that's how they sort of like get in there and like have like firm grip to like yeah. So they have 4 eyes, 2 main eyes, which you can kind of see here. And then in later pictures, you'll be able to see the parietal eyes. Those are mostly used for like homeostasis and like detecting like other light levels and stuff. It's less for like seeing and more for just like sensing in general. Yes, Casey, thank you for raising your hand.
Is like his mouth actually that round, or is he
Yeah.
up against something? Oh, okay.
That's just what they look like. No. And then, so their diet is mostly just fish and small invertebrates, and they don't eat worms like the hagfish do. And they make these things called redds. They're just like rock nests where they lay their eggs. So both males and females need to be present for reproduction to occur. So basically, they'll like move away debris at like the bottom of whatever like pond that they're in or lake, and they'll just like form this like sort of little rock nest at the bottom. And the female will lay the eggs, and the male will fertilize, and they'll both sort of like just like wrap around each other to fertilize it. Then after this, both of them die. So they immediately pork and then they die, and then the eggs, when they hatch, they have a larval stage. So that's where they mostly just stay in the dirt for a bit in fresh water, and then as after they metamorphose into an adult, they can that's where they progress to the saltwater locations, which they actually need to do, or else their eyes won't work. Abby?
If its mouth is always like that, like what happens if they choke on something?
They eat blood.
Well, I mean, like they do have a tongue, and their tongue and stuff will sort of like help to avoid choking and stuff. And it's just like they kind of need to be like right up against the thing that they.
Okay.
It's that like I don't think they're much at risk. Yes.
Why do they die after they fertilize?
There's a good reason for it, which will be explained later, as to avoid spoilers.
Okay.
Okay, so here's one of the diagrams where you can kind of see their parietal eyes. They're kind of like up here, and then you got their nostrils, and both the nostrils and the eyes work together to like bring in information. So the nostrils aren't really used for breathing. They have 7 pairs of gills for that instead, for countercurrent gas exchange. And then here's just another picture, another like diagram someone drew, and this is like, yeah.
Cilia?
Yeah, they're silly on the inside.
Why do they have cilia?
To
Why not?
move the
To
information.
move? To grab onto the
And then here's a live picture, a real life picture. So these are the two of the eyes, right here, I think. And then
I don't like how he has
there's
like
like
eyes.
yeah, there's like eyes on top. They're always like located on the top of his head, and then the 2 eyes are on the side just for vision.
Look at me.
And here's a comparison of both the lamprey and the hagfish together. So you can kind of see that where the nostrils where the nostrils would lead, there's like kind of a stump, and it kind of just leads out here instead of going upwards like it does in the lamprey. And then both of them, you can kind of see just like the different structures of their mouths, but both of them like lead into this sort of tube. So they're similar, but also different. Similar but different. And then here is a larger evolution, like just graph of all of the like fish and stuff. So these two are both jawless, and so are these guys. These ones obviously are the only ones that have survived. And then these, all the ostracoderms have gone extinct. And then but they're still closer to like the jawed vertebrate fish that you see today. And then these are the jawed vertebrates. Yes, Casey.
Do you know why they developed jaws?
It's mostly just because they like it's easier to eat things that way. And all the other jawless fish died due to predation, so they're just like natural selection basically.
Well, it is natural selection.
It is natural
And
selection.
it's usually, a niche opens up, an organism develops some sort of a feature randomly, they fill that niche, they progress. So now we see a lot more jawed fishes than we do jawless. Good hair?
Okay, so the ostracoderms are the first vertebrates to actually have bone. These are the bone was mostly used for like protection, so you can kind of see. No one's ever seen like a real picture of these. Everything's all just like sort of speculative because they've all been extinct. We've only found fossils. So like they mostly just have these two plates, the top and the bottom, and then they have these like some had scales, some didn't. It mostly more function as an exoskeleton than an inner skeleton. Yes.
Are they the first things to ever have bones ever?
Basically the way that we know this, or the way that they know that it's predation and not some other circumstances, that they notice a change in like the predator's bite pattern, which just shows that there was like a huge increase in these types of fish having a certain type of bite pattern that like it just like increased around a certain time, and then after that we didn't really see any fossils that dated around to that time. And here's a picture, a fossil of one of the ostracoderms. You can see that's their head. They got the two plates, and then this is probably just rock and stuff. Here's another fossil. You can kind of see this is the head, and then it's like got this. There's another one. You can kind of see like more of the more just like the general like placement of the larger plates versus the scales and stuff. And then this is a artistic rendition that I found, which is titled "Plotting the Demise of Jawless Fish."
That's not nice.
So,
It looks
because
so sad.
this guy's eating them all. Yes.
So how do they eat?
When had they eat? They ate like other ones. They either just had like their jaw like open, and then it's kind of like stuff just kind of passed through.
Like what do
Or-
they eat? Like a
What did
whale?
they eat? Some just eat like plankton.
Awesome.
And then this is a specific type of ostracoderm called the Sacabambaspis. It's the earliest known fully articulated and skeletonized vertebrate. You can see it has both scales and plates, and they're not sure about like the structure of the caudal fin and everything just because they've only seen fossils, and they've only found a few of them. But I just think they look all of the renditions I've seen look very dumb, and I think they're funny. And they've only been about 10 inches long, so they're pretty small overall in the grand. So this is one interpretation of their face. You know, you got the two eyes, and then people aren't really sure about how their mouth looks. You can see that they have some of the scales are used for like around their mouth, but they still have this like weird like round shape without much in the way of like fish, like modern fish like fins and stuff.
Is that a real picture? Is it artistic
They went back in
rendition?
time and took a picture of it.
And then here's another interpretation. You can kind of see they're small mouth. This one has like 4 eyes. It's like so weird. It's really ugly, yeah. And look at this mouth. Look at this mouth. It's like here's an actual fossil of them. You can actually see like you can see the plates, and they're more of the scales, and just it's just how people were able to come to the conclusion that they were ugly.
Do you think that's what they actually look like, or did we lose a lot of detail in the fossils?
I feel like it's probably pretty close, but we also could just like have misinterpreted them completely. It's hard to tell with fossils. Everything. And here's another one. It's like you can kind of see like the differences in people's interpretation. Some people like just took more creative liberties
Those gills
than
on their
others.
head?
Definitely very creative
Yeah.
It looks like a
liberties.
sand dollar.
I think so.
Whenever we
I'm pretty
it
sure.
has a giant
Stop.
sand dollar.
Negative minute or nothing.
That's true. Wow.
Okay, so they're both hagfish and lampreys provide a very important part of, or are a very important part of the ecosystem. So the hagfish have their ecological niche as scavengers and basically work to remove carrion falls and bycatch discards and stuff, and just remove all the dead organisms. So they kind of just like they kind of just stay at the bottom and do that as all of the dead fish float at the bottom, which is why they don't really need eyes, because all their food sort of just settles down there anyways. They're targeted recently for both flesh and slime commercially, so they're becoming more endangered. It's like more of a risk of their endangerment than before. And their slime is used for like pharmaceuticals, food, and like curing leather and stuff. And some populations in certain areas are being overfished. A lot of the ecological information and like their general life process, a lot of information about that is missing because of due to lack of research. Because like people haven't really researched them a lot, especially compared to lampreys. And then here's some people fishing for the hagfish slime. This is full of hagfish slime.
How did they find that?
It's
Is it really?
they just like so like they basically just like it's pretty abundant if they like have
Use it for?
It should've-
pharmaceuticals, food, and leather.
I was
And like I'm not entirely sure their like process for collecting the slime, but they produce it a lot. Like they produce it when they're eating, when they need to like move places, and like just for.
But like, how do they get it? Like, is it like, do they scrape it off of the ground, or? Okay.
I don't know.
No.
It's just like
I'm just wondering how to make a profit.
Yeah. You should ask her. She's
Okay.
pretty knowledgeable. Okay, and lampreys. These are a keystone species. Like in general, just because they're mostly used as prey for a lot of other animals in the area. The larvae, since they're in the ground, they filter feed while they're in the ground and developing. So they actually help to clean the water in lakes and stuff. And because they pork and then they die, they infuse sterile nutrients back into the lake ecosystem, because they just like reproduce and then they're like dead. So it's just like they bring back a lot of nutrients. And then they also provide a lot of spawning habitats for other fish like trout and salmon that everyone likes, because of the reds that they create when they're reproducing. Overall, people generally consider them to be bad for commercial fishing because there are a lot of instances of people like sort of blaming the lampreys for decimating the trout and salmon populations. There's one pretty common example of this, which is in Lake Champlain. There was like, at some point when people started fishing in that area more, they almost overfished it, and the salmon and trout populations almost completely depleted just because of like a variety of factors. Some people thought that they introduced an invasive species, which was the invasive lampreys, into the area, which like caused them to just like decimate the population. But in reality, it was more other factors like pollution and stuff like that contributed. They have wiped out like certain Great Lakes trout fisheries in the area just because like when the people were first overfishing, the the lamprey population was pretty low, and then as it built up, there was like an imbalance which caused the fish populations to deplete. Overall, they have endangered a few species like the New York lake sturgeon, and the reason why fish tend to deal so poorly with like too many lampreys in an area is because when they rarely survive them being attached as a parasite to their bodies because of how much blood they lose from it, and if they do survive, their like rate of reproduction is a lot lower, and like it's hard for the fish population to recover when there's an imbalance. And so these are some people that are fishing for them. Lampreys, in some populations of lampreys in Europe are actually endangered because of overfishing, because they're considered a delicacy in some places in Europe.
They can have ours.
Yeah. And then there's some people putting lampreys back in the water because they're trying to like establish native populations in those areas.
Ooh.
What do you mean, Brittany? Oh, okay.